Hi bakers, Catherine here. We're gonna use our ink to mix a 6-loaf batch. Now, this is one of the best features of the ink in my opinion. I only have this machine thanks to our Community Loaves work. It was a gift to us from Bread Beckers. They're based in Atlanta, Georgia. They're the same ones that are offering a special discount to our volunteers. So just thank you very much to Bread Beckers for sponsoring and supporting the Community Loaves effort. I've got my auto lease. I have my levain. This is for the classic recipe. So we're using a naturally fermented levain. This is going to go in the bowl first. Okay. So one of the other things I really just love about this Ankarsrum is that it has a nice wide mouth. It's really easy to get all the ingredients in. This roller bar is set about a finger's width distance from the bowl. We want the loose ingredients down at the bottom. You secure this roller bar by tightening this back piece, okay? And you can use the swing action of the bar to help incorporate ingredients. I do not auto-lease in the mixer intentionally because I want the loose ingredients on the bottom. I do take my auto-lease and chunk this up. 6 loaves here, so it's quite a bit of dough. Chunk it up into racquetball size pieces. Thanks to one of our volunteers to provide me that reference point. It's bigger than a golf ball, smaller than a baseball. She's like a racquetball. It's like, yeah, okay, racquetball. So it takes a little bit to get this in. This auto lease has been going for 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer. So we've got the benefit of the time of the auto lease to help us with that dough construction, transformative action of flour and water. And this might be a little bit larger than racquetball. But we want to get this in. I do have water here, so my standard configuration when I'm going to do a mix and get ready is I'll have a finger bowl. It's my version of a finger bowl. When I start this, and water is your friend, remember, with the sticky dough. Now, our Ankarsrum has a single gear. So it's not a variable gear, it's one fluid motion. So instead of speed 1, 2, 3, 4, we're looking at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and it's on off. So you can turn it on for 1 minute to a maximum of 12 minutes. I'm going to turn her on, beginning at 12 o'clock. Always begin at the slowest variation. And then as the mix starts to get done, I can move the speed up. This total mix is going to take us today here about 25 minutes, I think. The first stage of the mix is getting all of the loose levain and all of the firm auto lease to meld into one cohesive dough. All right, where you don't feel any loose bits and you don't feel any real firm bits. It's just all one consistent density and texture. So that's our goal with this mix. Once I'm getting close to that, I will add our yeast and then I will continue mixing. And as I see more and more gluten development occur and it gets stronger, I'm going to add our salt. That salt is going to finish off that gluten development, and we're going to keep mixing it until we get our window pane. And we want to make sure that we don't feel any salt in the mix. And I think my dog just knocked the camera. but thankfully not to the point that it came crashing down. Okay, so I'm at speed 1 o'clock, if you will. I'm going to move this up to 2 o'clock and then 3 o'clock. And you can see that this is quite a bit of dough in the bowl, but it's doing its job. The dough scraper keeps this dough focused on the outside of the bowl and through that pinch point where the roller bar is actually doing the kneading of the dough as the dough is coming between the bowl and the bar. If I feel like I want some incorporation of these ingredients a little bit different, I can move this swing action bar to help achieve that. Also, if I feel like I've lost a little tightness, I want that bar to pinch a little bit closer to the bowl, I can stop this mixer, rearrange it, tighten it down, and resume. Again, this is going to take a few minutes, and I am going to rinse my hands a little bit. I want to show you what's happening here. I want to move this around a little bit. We've not been mixing for that long. I want to see if I can show you that we have loose bits. I'm going to call this loose. And we have more dense bits here, although it is coming together nicely. I can still feel some firm or chunky bits in here. I'm going to clean up my bar just a little bit, pulling some of this off, but I can go ahead and add, remember, water's our friend. I'm just getting in here, helping move things about a little bit, and I'm going to reset my bar just a little bit, tighten her back down. Now, you don't have to fuss with yours. I know people who just leave it alone at 12 minutes or a little bit longer, come back. She's very sturdy. She's not going to rock off the table. I like to help her along a little bit. I like to get involved. The way I am. I know that doesn't surprise very many of you. Starting at 12 o'clock, again, the slowest speed, I'm going to add my yeast. I'm going to get that in here. Keeping my salt. I'm holding my salt. I'm going to move this up. And then I'm going to go to 4 o'clock. And I'm going to stop right there at 4 o'clock. And I'm going to let it keep on going. See how she's doing. This takes a little time. Like I said, the total mix, probably around 20, 25 minutes. One of the reasons why I want to use these videos to help reinforce certain qualities of the mix, the dough, as opposed to the time element. That way you're going for a specific feel or target rather than shutting a process off exactly at 12 minutes because it may or may not be done at that time. I'm going to go to 4:30. So one of the things I'm looking for is to see this dough start pulling away from the roller bar. So that's a sign of the consistency and it getting done. We're not there yet. But it's different than in other mixers where you're looking for that dough to move around the bowl. In this case, we're looking for a donut to get created by the dough. All right, let's do a quality of dough check, see where we're at. I'll put this little amount back in. We're definitely now cohesive. We definitely are beginning to have some gluten development. We can do our window pane test and see where we're at. That's quite a big chunk. Notice how I have this habit of dipping my hands in this water. That's a good habit to get into when handling the dough. Oh yeah, I haven't even added the salt, but we are getting some really nice gluten development, starting to be able to get that window pane. Let me see if I can. It's fragile. This window pane is about a buckiness. It's not just can you pull a thin membrane that you can see light through. Where's my light? Nope, there it is. Uh, it is, does it have a little resistance? Is this dough bucky? Does it act like a rubber band, which pulls back on you as you are pulling away from it? It's, gluten development is very much like working with a rubber band. Even when you get to the point where you're overproofing it, what you've done is overstretched that rubber band, so when it cools, when the loaf cools, it can't fall, it doesn't return to its original shape because it's been stretched so much that when you release it, it's wobbly. Exactly what happens with an overproofed loaf. We are at a point though, here, at this development, where we're getting good gluten development, a modest window pane, not done yet. I'm going to put this back to 12 o'clock. Now, I'm going to turn on my time. I'm going to add my salt. I'm going to move this up. Our goal here is to get this salt to dissolve in and to finish our gluten development. Once we have our strong window pane, then we're going to add our porridge. Also begin to see how we're starting to get a little bit of a donut away from the roller bar. We used to do these stages all as one. By separating them out, I think it's a better instructional for what's happening at each stage. You may have a little bit more control over your bake when you can see these different elements. But if you are comfortable putting all this stuff together at one time, you do not need to feel like you need to make a change. Do that. Do whatever is working at your place. We're not going to add the oatmeal until we pull that window pane that we like. So we're going to do another check on that. I've moved up in speed. So this Ankarsrum has two knobs. Again, the on-off, which is a timer, max amount of time 12, and this variable speed. And this is where I've got it angled down to about 430. Now, because this is so much dough, and yes, it is a little bit of a push, we're not going to get that full donut. We can show you that with the 4 loaves. But it's still good. And I'm going to turn this off. And we're going to pull our window pane and see where we're at. I'm not focused on time. I'm focused on the quality of the dough. So I don't feel any salt, no granules. I'm gently teasing this a little bit, and then I'm pulling, and it does have a buckiness. It's resisting and pulling back, and it's strong. It's got a medium strength to it that's really nice. It's not easily breaking apart. That's good development. Yes, I can cause it to create a hole, but I'm feeling that strength. It's good, but it's, in my opinion, not quite done. This is where it becomes more craft than science. The good news is you're not at risk of over mixing. It's really challenging to over mix. And we're going to keep on mixing. I'm going to set it for another 6 minutes. We're going to go to town though. We're gonna keep going up, up, up. Go back to about that 4:30 time frame. While that's happening, I can take my oatmeal and get this ready. Now, this thing is pretty full, right? We're gonna add our oatmeal in stages. A third, a third, a third. By doing our window pane before we add the oatmeal, we do not have to do the check again after we add the oatmeal. And the oatmeal actually breaks down the gluten a little bit, but it will still have been strong enough to withstand, and so we don't have to check it again. Okay, this is just really looking great. I like how it's pulling away from the roller bar. Can you see this? It's starting to get some of those strands. You're getting a little bit of gap from the roller bar. I'm going to turn that off. We're going to pull that window pane again. We're going to see how this dough, oh, you can already feel. All right, so this has a tug to it. This dough is nice, it's supple, it's not sticky. We've got some of these things improved and right. We've got our dough. It does feel bucky, is a good word that was given to me by Mel Derbyshire of Grand Central. And yeah, it's got just a really nice quality to it. I can get a really nice window pane. I can pull against it. It's not too fragile. Yeah, basically, at some point we're going to break a hole, but we're there. So the oatmeal goes in. I'm going to begin with 1/3. I'm using my bowl scraper to help get this in. This is our full-on porridge, not just the oatmeal. It has the honey and the olive oil in it. I'm starting again at 12 o'clock. You don't want this oatmeal flying out of the bowl. And we are giving this machine the opportunity to go to the distance and capacity, right? So add the oatmeal in gradually so that it stays in the bowl. Okay. Once I feel like that has taken, right, we'll add a little more. And you can add it right on top. Once it's all in, I'll move the speed up to get a full mix, which to me just means that it is well incorporated into the dough. It's not, there's not pockets of oatmeal sitting separately from the dough. We're almost all in. So my loaves go to Kirkland Hopelink, which was the original food pantry. If you have not had a chance to get to know your food pantry, I highly encourage you to look them up and understand some of their additional needs. Often these food pantries need volunteers. And in the time of COVID, it's been a little difficult. but they're figuring things out. And if you have a little extra time, I know they'd appreciate someone to come by and help pack up boxes. The Edmonds Food Bank puts our loaves in their senior citizen shut-in boxes. And the senior citizens have gotten to the point where they're asking if it's a bread week and if there are loaves in the box. It's just so gratifying to hear, and it makes me want to do more. I hope that some of these instructional videos help demystify the process, make it easier, that there's some tricks and tips in them that you go, oh, I could do that, so that we get more and more bakers to bake these loaves. Okay, I'm moving this up in speed because the oatmeal is in. I'm going to go back up to 4 or so. And then we're going to move it into a container for our bulk. If you're only doing 2-4 loaves in your machine, you could bulk right in this container in the stainless steel, and then use that lid that came with the Ankarsrum. Okay, let's see how we're doing. I need my water again. Now we've got a little bit more of that stickiness, the oatmeal, the honey. What am I doing? Besides moving things around a little bit, I want to feel, do I have pockets of dough? And I can actually have oatmeal or dough where it's not all one and the same. And I do. I have a big amount of oatmeal here that hasn't yet been incorporated in the dough. And I've got another section here that is more dough and not got maybe enough oatmeal. So we're not done. I want to keep mixing until the general consistency is uniform. And sometimes we might want to help her out by getting down underneath and bringing up that dough. Or if you don't want to get your hands involved, you just keep on mixing. I'm going to give this another 4 minutes. Okay, this is looking already much better. I said I was going to go another 4 minutes. I think last time I cut it shy by a minute. I'm feeling really good about this, so we're going to just stop her. We need to take the pin out, we need to loosen the back. That swing arm pulls out. We want to take this bowl scraper here and give that a scrape. Again, we're not doing a window pane check again. We don't need to. I'm going to set this aside. Now we're going to use our dough scraper. This was a chocolate chip cookie beater, then we would have people fighting for it. As a bread dough beater, not too many people are lined up for licking the beater. You remember doing that? Are we allowed to do that anymore because of the eggs? I don't think we are. Boy, that was joyful to be able to lick the beater. Okay, lift this up off. Takes a little bit longer to mix this quantity of dough, but we get 6 loaves out of it. So that's a pretty good return on investment, and time investment. You can organize your bake using your KitchenAid and queuing everything in to use your mixer to do 2 batches of 3. Take the 6 times batch, divide things in half, get most of it combined in a great big bowl, and then use your KitchenAid to mix half at a time. So that's pretty well scraped out. I'm going to cover this. This dough feels really good. We're going to do our bulk ferment. That's about an hour. It's going to increase in size about 1 3/4 to 2 times. You can just take a piece of tape and mark the side so that you know what that growth is, right? You don't have to have this kind of bowl. So, reusing my shower cap, this says Classic 6X, and we are done with our mix. We'll see this dough again probably for shaping. If you get a machine, if you have any difficulty, I would love to hear your questions.